Welcome to Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter joined by Coach Holt as I am each and every Friday. Coach, happy Clayton Kershaw Day. Happy sweep day for the Rockies. Happy come home for actually go to Kansas City. You're going to be there this weekend, so there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Dodgers fan, especially for you.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Coming off a sweep. If we talked, a couple of weeks ago, the stretch the Dodgers were going into at that time, I don't know what the exact record was at. You probably know it off your head, but they did very well during the toughest part of the schedule, considering everything they were up against. But like I said, the greatest, the best offense in baseball makes up for all that. But no, it's an exciting time right now. It's Colorado. Yeah, you look at the record, but it's always tough to win in Colorado because especially when it's 3-1 to get a guy on, the time runs always come to play. Mm-hmm. You always got to. So you're really not ever, satisfied till the final out's made. So coming off a 3-game sweep there, good. Going into Kansas City, Kansas City has got a lot of talented athletes. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the up-and-coming stars. He's already a star, but he's one of the future big-time stars in this league. And there should be a big crowd tonight in Kansas City. Me and Melissa are going tonight to check out the Dodgers. Kauffman, the Big K, is a great stadium. It's old. It's much like Dodger Stadium, but with the age of it, Dodger Stadium is still a beautiful, beautiful venue. Of course, to us, it's extremely beautiful, but I'm just saying,
of course,
it's the same way. People forget the K was built back in the 70s, and that might even been 69, 70. So it's that old, but it's a beautiful venue, beautiful ballpark. Really good fans of Kansas City. I know when the team's not doing well, they're not showing up. The last time Rex and I went up there, they had more Dodger fans there than Royals fans, but it may be the case again tonight. But it's a great venue, great weekend series in Kansas City. I know there was a slight chance of rain there. Hopefully it'll stave off and we can get the game in tonight. We're excited about going tonight, though, and seeing the Dodgers in the Big K.
Yeah, that was one of the first stadiums I've ever been to. Actually, the first stadium I ever went to was in Anaheim, Angel Stadium, believe it or not, in the early 80s when they had Bobby Grich and they had different color schemes and all that kind of stuff. They were the California Angels back then. So, but Royal Stadium, been there probably other than the ballpark in Arlington and then the original Arlington Stadium. You remember that where you just sat there and fry. It was just a glorified AAA stadium. Other than probably Arlington Stadium and the ballpark in Arlington, Kauffman's probably the stadium I've been to the most. Probably been there 20, 25 times. So super excited to see it. I actually got to see Billy Wagner throw first 100-mile-an-hour pitch I'd ever seen. Got to see him throw one there, so that was cool. And it was also, you had, of course, when I was growing up, you had George Brett, and you had Willie Wilson, and you had Yoel Washington, who's from Hartshorne, Oklahoma, the shortstop that played with a toothpick in his mouth. Yep. So the Royals are dear to our heart, no doubt about it. And it was also the facility, the stadium that had the waterfall in the background, which was like, wow, we have a waterfall on a baseball field. I mean, that was like the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium. Still is. They've done a lot. I don't know how long you've been there, Casey. You got a Hall of Fame out in left field. Really nice Hall of Fame section out in the left field pavilion. They got stuff in there, but no, it's a special place. It has been for a long time. It's one of the thing. It's like Arrowhead. Arrowhead's built about the same time. People forget about how old those stadiums are. I know there's talk of they're building new ones in Kansas City. My talk was always, why don't you build something around these damn places? You got this great Truman Sports Complex sitting there. You got one condemned hotel, one that needs to be condemned right across the street, and the worst Denny's in the face of the earth. Build something up, but they're not going to do that. There are people, the powers of beer, doing that. They're talking about a downtown stadium, and I think the Chiefs are even talking about going to the Kansas side to build something. So it's a great complex. The Chiefs, goes without saying, they pack it. Arrowhead's a great venue to watch football too, even though it's old. But you're right, the Kauffman Stadium, for years, George Tomo, that's where he made his name. He was it was always funny. He was a groundskeeper at Kansas City, and they had turf field. But George Tomo got hired by all the he was a Super Bowl. He's a turf guy. I think he passed away here in the last couple of years, but he was like the turf guru. The NFL had him for every Super Bowl. He came in and took it over. And I always thought it was interesting because when they went to turf, George Tomo was still was in charge of Kansas City, even though I'm sure he had I don't know the whole background, but I know the NFL used him. And so it's kind of, now they're all natural turf, beautiful stadium, and which most major league stadiums are now. They got the capability and the resources to keep great, natural turf fields. And that's the great thing about baseball is we know, Casey, in high school, because of resources and everything, a lot more high schools in Oklahoma, Texas, probably all over the country are going to turf. So, but you're still seeing, so these kids are growing up playing on turf now. But, the great, and you worked the grounds crew down at Bricktown. I know you worked, that was a great facility too. So, the work that goes into it. Old Brake Stadium here at Stillwater is one of the best in the country, no matter what level you're on. So a lot goes into that. But Kansas City's been known for that for a long time. And like I said, it's an exciting place to watch the baseball. I've gone up there and watched it when there's 10,000 people there. They weren't doing well, blah, blah, blah. But, those kids grew up and they won a world championship with them. Of course, then they all left except for Salvador Perez. But, they all had to go somewhere else because they couldn't pay them. So those sort of things. So great history in Kansas City, as you mentioned, back to the George Brett days and, what the great things they have with the Yankees, all those great, the Pine Tar game. Of course, that was in Yankee Stadium. Yeah. But great history at Kauffman Stadium. And the Dodgers don't come there very often. They have recently. This is about the third time in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So that's great for us living here, Case. But me and you growing up in the Stillwater, Guthrie area, the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals next to our beloved Dodgers were the closest venue. So they're kind of our backup teams. The Cardinals, I always they're kind of second and third and fourth on my team's favorite team. So Dodgers always number one, though.
Yeah. Willie Wilson, Frank White, that whole group, Jen Sundberg, man. I can tell, honestly, I would have to say the Royals are my second favorite team in the major leagues. And it's because they're more of the underdog role around here. Texas, they have, George Bush Jr. was their second, whatever it is. He was their owner forever. They've had plenty of money. It's been too hot. They didn't have a dome, that kind of thing. They ran out of pitching in August. But around here, the Royals, there's been no reason for somebody like us to not root for them every time they've been in a World Series. Maybe unless you're a Cardinals fan. There's a lot of Cardinals fans around here. So I'm super excited to see these two, especially in this area. I promise you, Kansas City will be completely jazzed up for the Dodgers to come into town 100%. I think they'll have a good crowd tonight. Plus, they have Jack Caglione, which we saw in Stillwater in a regional, who is just a fantastic young player. So exciting. And they have their dude going tonight. Noah Cameron, young man out of University of Central Arkansas, which we know that program very well, led by Nick Harlan. They produced Gavin Stone. Yeah. So that is a program at UCA in Conway there. Beautiful place if you've ever been there. That's produced great talent. Noah Cameron on the year, 2.08 ERA, a whip of 0.97. Not really a big strikeout guy, but he is a guy that can be the type of kryptonite for the Dodgers, create a lot of weak contact. And they will feel like, how teams feel, Coach. When you got your dude going to the mound, you feel invincible. So Noah Cameron will give them a boost. I think tonight will be a really fun game. Dustin May going for the Dodgers. Yeah, big time. The world champs are in town. There's been a lot of Dodger fans, a lot of the Royal fans coming up. It's like you said, they got a chance of winning, which they do. All three of these games, they'll have a chance of winning. So it'll be big night, fireworks after it. I think tomorrow, Case, if I saw correctly, the last time Rex and I went up there was the Negro Baseball League's game on Saturday. I think they're doing that again tomorrow. The Royals will wear the Monarchs uniform. The Dodgers, I think they wore the Brooklyn. It was a great night. Rex and I were there for the last one they had there. And that was my first opportunity to go through the Negro Baseball League's museum there in Kansas City. It was interesting. Me and Rex got there, and they said, hey, it's closed for right now. We're looking around. They go, the Dodgers are in there going through it. And I thought, well, hell, let us in. Let's go. We want to go with them. But anyway, wow. So the Dodgers actually toured there that morning of the game. And Rex and I was able to go through the first time. What a great, if you're ever in Kansas City, and if you like jazz music, it sits right next to the Jazz Music Hall of Fame. You can go in the door and go to both of them if you want. So Kansas City is a great town. And like I said, if you have never been to the Negro Baseball League's Museum, you need to go. It's a great piece of baseball history. It is. If you like jazz music, great barbecue, and riverboat gambling, Kansas City is your place, no doubt about it. Okay, so let's dive into Clayton Kershaw. We kind of stated on our last show, they're going to figure out how to get Clayton Kershaw his 3,000 strikeout at home, no doubt. He ended up 3 strikeouts shy. I know he went to 6 innings, so that was kind of his string anyways. Right. So it played out naturally, but they were going to do that either way. There's no way that you can convince me they weren't going to do that. So that's going to be really cool when Clayton Kershaw gets his 3,000 strikeout at home. But he'll tell you right now, more importantly, the Dodgers got the win, and he pitched really well. 6 innings, 2 hits. 1 run, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. What was your thoughts of Clayton Kershaw, Coach? It's
it's something us old baseball purists love is seeing a guy reinvent himself.
Yes.
So this is a guy 95 plus, in his heyday when he's young, and he still was able to throw that by people. He always had a great curveball. Clayton was always known for, a really good fastball and a tremendous curveball. But you see the guy's reinvented himself with some injuries and stuff. Like you said, I think hit 90, is setting 89 most of the time. This is big league baseball. Yeah. You're not going to live with an 89, 90-mile-an-hour fastball in there. So Clayton is a pitcher. That's a beautiful thing. It's always – you always remember they call them the crafty left-handers. The big burly right-handers throwing the gas, the crafty. Of course, we know those things have changed. But Clayton's turned into that crafty left-hander. First of all, the knowledge he's accumulated over his career in baseball for all these years and all the experiences he has, he has learned the art. Not that he didn't know before. I'm not saying that. What he had in his toolbox tool belt was a lot different back when he's younger. Now he's learned how to pitch. Like you said, he didn't necessarily get a lot of strike ones, and he didn't necessarily pitch from, backwards, but he was able to land enough that the curveball became in the slider became the getting out pitch. And, just watching a guy reinvent himself, one of the greatest pitchers in baseball, definitely the Dodgers history, but probably far Hall of Famer, I would guess, with Clayton Kershaw, especially with getting 3,000. It's great to see. The thing about him, Kay, since he's been back, me and you both watched him in Oklahoma City last year, and I know you may have watched him. I didn't get to see him this year down there, but you're kind of like, God dang, I don't know how he's going to get hitters out. Yeah. But he is. He's had quality starts this entire year. I mean, no doubt. He hasn't won them all, but, I mean, he's had good starts where he's got a little bit of length to it, 4, 5, 6 innings where you don't have to get him out early. And they've been quality starts getting the Dodgers a chance to win. And I think we all know the Dodgers offense, it doesn't take a whole hell of a lot. If you give them a chance, they can put together base hits and get big innings. They can hit out of the ballpark and get big innings 1 through 9. So this has been a great combination. And for Clayton, I'm excited about him doing it at Dodger Stadium in front of his friends, family, and all the great Dodger fans there in L.A.
I was talking to Rob Walton at a baseball camp a couple years ago, and he's just such an incredible pitching mind, just a great baseball mind overall, especially pitching. He's already in the Oklahoma State Baseball Hall of Fame. They call him the Wizard. Yep. So I asked him this specifically. I was like, okay, strike one here, and it is absolutely the fact. We talk about this all the time. Strike one's the best pitch in baseball. There is no doubt about that. The difference between 0-1 and 1-0 is remarkable. Just look at the statistics. But also the biggest difference between 1-1, that 1-1 pitch is also the biggest pitch in baseball because the difference between 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 is like the biggest gap in baseball. Yeah. So we explained this to him, and then he said, so we focus on throwing strike one, don't get me wrong, but for guys that are like 88, 89, that can't just throw strike one because they're going to get ambushed. Well, we saw the slider yesterday for Clayton Kershaw get ambushed on the first pitch. So for guys like that are going to continue to get ambushed on the first pitch, especially if it's first pitch fastball like Clayton Kershaw was almost exclusively last night, what we tell them is, I'm not as worried about strike one. Worry about the first 3 pitches. I need the first 2 out of 3 pitches to be strikes. So it's not necessarily about strike one for Clayton Kershaw. It's about, can we get 2 out of the first 3 strikes in the strike zone to get to that 1-2 count instead of the 2-1 count. That's what he did last night for me. That's
a great point, because, sitting there as a manager, even back, I can remember 100 years ago when I played, 2-1, you almost sitting there going, it's like a 3-1 to me almost, because I'm thinking, this guy's got to throw a strike. And I know he's got to throw a strike because he don't want to go 3-1. Right. That's exactly, Coach Walton, what you just said right there is spot on. The 1-1 pitch is huge. 1 and 2, oh, crap. He's got
it's a huge swing.
He's got 3 pitches to play with me now. I don't know what the hell I'm going to get. That's a great point by Rob Walton, a great pitching baseball man, and you. That's a great point. There's no doubt about that. 1-1 is the most crucial. Or as you said, 2 strikes out. Strike one's fine and whatever, but 2 strikes out of the first 3. Oh my God, what a way to pitch!
Yeah. So like if you're Yamamoto and you have a fastball that can beat hitters in the zone, or even Dustin May or Tyler Glasnow or Blake Snell, strike one's huge, right? But if you're Clayton Kershaw, I don't think it's about strike one because his stuff's not good enough. If you just throw strike one, he's going to give up. He's going to get ambushed. It's about being ahead by the time you get into a position to really put hitters away. So I thought that was an interesting point that I wanted to bring up about Clayton Kershaw. And here's kind of that point, Coach. He got 7 swings on his fastball, no whiffs, So, I mean, but he created 5 outs on soft contact with his fastball. So that kind of goes to show you right there. He's having to kind of set up that, although he's throwing the fastball first pitch, it's almost like a show pitch to set up the rest of the sequencing that he's gonna show hitters. It's kind of interesting that way.
I think you mentioned, he wasn't necessarily pitching backwards, but he kind of is, because that's how you get soft. That's how you get soft contact on a average, mediocre major league fastball. That's how you get soft contact, because the hitter's fooled. That's why he wasn't necessarily pitching backwards as a whole, but he kind of was, because the other stuff
from a concept he was,
Yes, by concept he was. He had, and I'm sure, as you mentioned, me and you talked. He had a game plan for each hitter. He's not, This guy is locked in on these hitters. He's got a game plan for each guy.
Literally every hitter had a different game plan.
Yes, this guy, he's like a surgeon now. Just think of the knowledge Clayton Kershaw has got, as a player, as a pitcher, learning from his mistakes, first of all, and being around, great pitching minds, and basically by himself being out there on the hill and making mistakes, and knowing what he can and can't do. And as he's evolved into what we see Clayton Kershaw now, it's a joy to watch. To me,
it is.
It's a joy. There's very few guys. You look at Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was throwing 100 when he was 19. He's throwing 100 when he's 95. There's no those guys around anymore. That's a freak of nature. Those guys, they all have to reinvent themselves if they're going to be successful at some point. And Clayton is taking it to another level. I just love. Of course, I love the guy. He's a Texas boy. He's our Dodger guy. He's been there forever. He's going to retire as a Dodger. He's our guy, we love the guy. All the Dodger dogs and Dodger fans worldwide love the guy. And it's heartwarming. It makes me feel good that he's not going out. Oh shit. He goes out and gets ripped every time. The guy, he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
This guy ain't done. I don't know. Oh. Who knows? He may end up being, he may end up going to the bullpen and still being very effective at some point. Not now. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying he's a long way from being done, because of his toolbox, tool belt, whatever the hell you want to call it, what he can do to hitters. And Colorado, but he's done this the entire year. He's had quality starts. To me, again, I don't keep the numbers in front of me. I'm just trying to. You look at it, you watch things. He's been a quality starter for the Dodgers against everybody. I mean, come on. By that, I mean he's not throwing a no-hitter and striking out 10 every game. Who gives a crap? Very few guys do that in the history of baseball. He's giving his team a chance to win. That's all you can ask.
Touched 90 last night. That was the top end of it. He was mostly in the 80s. So I promise you, the first time that he gives up like 5 or 6 runs and has a bad outing, there will be lots of, he's cooked. He can only hit 80. The first time that he gives up 5 runs, you'll hear that nonstop. You can't get major league hitter. So the deal with him is he threw a slider. His slider's been his go-to pitch for a long time now. His slider is his fastball. What I mean by that is he threw a slider in the zone. He landed his slider like 63% of the time. Well, that's the league average on a fastball. So really what you're seeing is the slider has become the fastball in terms of setting the arsenal up. The fastball is kind of more of a show pitch. But Yamamoto, to go to our point here, how about this, Coach? Yamamoto, he threw either strike 1 on the first pitch or 2 strikes in the first 3 pitches, 12 out of 15 batters that made it to at least 3 pitches in the at-bat. You talk about a surgeon. I mean, you talk about pitching to the advantages that pitchers have in pitchers count. Yamamoto was just fantastic on that.
That's amazing. It just answers just what we were just talking about, and what great baseball men have talked to you about, like Rob Walton. 12 out of 15 hitters. He's got 2 strikes out of the first 3 pitches. And then the guy's got a curveball and a splitter they're sometimes unhittable. Most of the time unhittable. So now he's got that in his arsenal, and you're sitting there again, 1-2. The hell, I mean, no wonder he gave up 1 hit, had 6 Ks. No wonder he didn't strike out more, but I'm sure a lot of soft contact. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I'm just saying that's dominant. That's a dominating performance when you get, you're sitting 1-2 on 12 out of 15 batters. Just put it that way. That's amazing.
Yeah, because at that point, I mean, you don't even have to throw your splitter or curveball for a strike. You just let it rip and you let it dive and you watch the major league hitters swing and miss chasing it. I mean, that's the importance of throwing strikes for him, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And, major leagues don't worry about that. Major league catchers don't worry about that. They're major league catchers for a reason.
Yes, correct.
They're going to block that stuff. I mean, a little too much. I'm getting old school. The one-handed, some of that stuff. But I mean, most of the guys, the really highly successful catchers. Yeah, I know. I'm glad Smalley's not watching this.
I love Will Smith, but about 3 times a year, I'm like, damn, Will, come on, man,
get out, man. About every game I watch, see somebody try to go in. I think, hell, Coach Choate been throwing that Diet Dr. Pepper bottle the other in the dugout. Like
Smalley been throwing his 16 size shoe.
Smalley would text me right now if he's watching this and getting pissed off thinking about somebody wanting anyway.
His black and orange 16 size pony shoe, right? He'd be throwing it up against the dugout.
No kidding. His dad played for the Cardinals. That's how far back he goes. And
absolutely.
Old school baseball. But yeah, a guy who don't throw 90, but Kershaw's experience of his own being on the mound and making mistakes or things he sees it works, and now the bullpens that he's worked coming back from injuries, all that knowledge, it's all rolled up in, was he 36 years old, 37? Yeah. It's all rolled up into that mind. Just a wealth of knowledge. Here's what I am now. Here's what Clayton Kershaw is now. Here's what I can do. I've just got to be very good at that, and that's great to see.
So the pitching overall, that's a lot of thinking. I know for you and I, that's probably a little bit like we're old enough to, we're like, man, I got to have an extra dose of coffee after talking all that kind of stuff.
I have to have a drink just thinking about it.
Yeah, we're hanging in, and it can't be like one of those wimpy cups. It's got to be a strong dose, and it's got to be a cup that can hold a strong dose, right? So let's get into a little bit lighter talk here.
Okay.
Pitching overall, just 9 runs in 3 games, 1 run in each of the last 2 games. For the best team in offense, they're going to cover that spread almost every time. That's why you get a sweep.
Oh, yeah, that's how you get a sweep, especially in Colorado. Again, I don't want to hear about Colorado's record, blah, 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 this and that. I don't want to hear about that crap. It's an offensive ballpark. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's an offensive ballpark. Just to give up 1 run the last 2 days, it's crazy. And only giving up 3 runs that entire series up there. That's a great start. I think the starters go out 16 innings. I think we got out of the starters. Mm-hmm. So save the bullpen somewhat. Yes. Yeah, out of 27, you got 16 of them. So I know we only had to use Vesia and Kopech. Maybe the only 2 guys went back to back the last couple of days. But so it was a good series for the bullpen to kind of get reloaded. Some of them, and Kirby made a good catch on the home run yesterday. By the way, I thought that was pretty awesome in the bullpen. Yamamoto, what a pitch for Yamamoto, just kind of hanging right down the middle. Anyway, I saw the home run there late. Anyway, but no, that's a great performance by the Dodgers. And like I said, the starters give you that, and your bullpen's able to kind of catch their breath somewhat. Getting ready to go into Kansas City. It could be very hot. It could be hot there. It could be raining all 3 days. Hell, I don't know. I know there's a good chance tonight. I think the chances have gone down, so hopefully it'll stay clear there. And you got the next 2 days are game days. You got a night game today. I think we're 3:10 tomorrow, probably on Fox. I guess I'm assuming, and 1:10 on Sunday. So they're going to be playing in the daylight in Kansas City, and we know that can be much like we were sitting right here in Oklahoma. What it could be like. I know there's a pretty good chance rain. Maybe get some overcast where it's not as hot, but. These are major league players. Hell, the Dodgers. I know they live in Los Angeles, but this heat don't bother these guys now. It does me at 67 years old now, but when I was their age, I didn't give a crap. I throw BP to you guys out there like an idiot, 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, at lunch and 6 o'clock.
Yes, no doubt about it. So, hell, it don't bother these young kids.
Yeah. Now, speaking of rain, that rain situation in Colorado, I was glad to see the Dodgers go ahead and bring out a can of whoop ass after the rain, so there was nobody that could say, well, the Rockies lost because they kept playing or whatever. That was a complete disaster. I understand that the crew chief is the official arbiter, but the crew chief doesn't have a cell phone that he's looking at every 2 seconds, looking at a radar, calling the national. So the way this works is the groundskeeper or the people in charge will be in constant contact. Like here in Oklahoma, it's Mike Morgan or David Payne or Damon Lane. You'll know one of those 3 guys. And like Jeff at Oklahoma City will be in contact with one of them, or he'll be in contact with somebody at the National Weather Service that's in Norman, our location here, and he'll be looking at radar at all times. If there's a threat of rain before the game, he'll talk to him about it during BP. He'll talk to him about it pregame. The umpires, the managers will talk about it pregame. The grounds crew, if you're a good one, might even be a part of that pregame meeting. So yes, the crew chief is the official arbiter, but he's only making a decision based on the information he's being given by the people that have the ability to monitor it second by second. So obviously he was told to, hey, this is a play-on situation, or if you're close to ending an inning, please do it. Or maybe he just ignored all the good advice, because I can't imagine the Rockies ground crew botching it that bad. So he either just completely ignored the good information, the accurate information, or he got bad information or no information. However it may be, the ball got dropped there, but I was glad to see that the Dodgers were able to recover and make that really a non-factor.
No, you're right. I know you have intimate knowledge of the groundskeeping ins and outs. I was thinking about that before we went on. I'm going to ask you about that. I always thought, you always see, I assume it's the head groundskeeper, between innings even sometimes he'll run out and have his phone with him and be talking to the umpires. Those guys are usually real good about it, staying on top for a lot of reasons. Lightning kills people every day of the year. It's not just the freaking rain. Things coming in. You got to get these players off the field. Try to get the fans somewhere where they can be safe. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal checking weather on those situations. Not even forget the tornadoes. The lightning kills way more people than tornadoes do. Anyways, we know that living in Oklahoma. But so. Yeah, you see those guys. I always think that's pretty amazing. You see him come out between innings, or if it's getting bad, you'll see him out there talking. He's got his phone, so he's either talking to somebody, like you said, in our case, you got National Weather Service in Norman, Oklahoma, Mark Fox and crew down there getting her done, and then you got all the TV stations that those guys are locked in. So, you do that sort of thing. I'm like you. It's hard to believe those guys missed it. Denver's a big city. There's a lot of people that know the weather there. A lot of weather people. On these TV stations and whatever, I can't imagine them missing it that much. I don't know what happened. I'm like you.
Yeah.
It's kind of baffling. The guys shouldn't have been out there.
Yeah. Just kind of wanted to touch over that and kind of explain that situation. Just going back to a point that you brought up just a minute ago, the bullpen kind of got a break there. They got to catch their breath. I like the way that you put it there, catch their breath a little bit. So here's kind of some evidence behind that. As far as the bullpen goes, Alex Vesia and Michael Kopech were the only two relievers all week to throw back-to-back. And here's the deal, back-to-back days, which relievers just never throw on 3 days in a row. Evan Phillips has done it like twice, and they've both been like terrible. The third day has not been good. Right. So actually, I think maybe one of them was, one of them. But so anyways, here's the deal behind that. Vesia and Kopech, the only two bullpen relievers to throw on back-to-back days. Alex Vesia, both outings were only a third of an inning. Okay, and then Michael Kopech, it's almost like rehab, like he needs the work because he's still trying to climb back into the saddle, right? So the only two guys that went back-to-back were either used very lightly or actually needed the work. And so that's how the bullpen 100% got to catch their breath.
That's a great, that's a great job. We don't, give Dave Roberts and, Mark Pryor, we don't give him enough credit. We don't give Mark Pryor enough credit sometimes to handle that pitching staff. But, it's great you can get Kopech. The good thing about Kopech, we can get him in there and get him some work because he needs it, but he's also can be a freaking dude. He's not in there throwing 82 trying to get his inning there. We're not talking about that crap.
He's trying to eat innings.
Yeah, he's eating innings, and it serves two purposes. We're getting him back. We got to get him back to where he was. And we're playing in a place that's you could have some home runs, and this guy's got the stuff to keep us in it. So, it's great for Vesia just going 1/3 of an inning. Hell, I assume he could go a third tonight if it didn't even up there, in Kansas City tonight. But I don't know. I'm excited to see how they approach that tonight. I know you got May going, but like I said, at least something. A lot of the guys, if they have to use any length, are ready to go again. So they're set up pretty good for the weekend series as of today. As they're having their coffee this morning and going over their game plans and all that type of stuff, which I'm sure the guys are doing soon, not right now.
Yeah, 6 runs in 11 innings for the bullpen, but keep in mind 3 of those were from Anthony Bonda, one particular guy. So, and Bonda has been fantastic lately, and you won all 3 games. So I think the Dodgers fans have to leave that series very happy with the pitching. As far as the offense, 20 runs in 3 games, 33 runs for the Dodgers in the last 4 games. That goes back to the last game against the Nats. So kind of what I wanted to touch on with the offense here. We know the Dodgers have the best offense in baseball. One of the reasons why, obviously, you have 3 Hall of Famers at the top, no doubt about that.
Right.
And you have great players. That's number one. But the way the Dodgers lineup is set up every day, based on the matchups, and then the way they just set it up overall for just an overall roster for the entire season, is that not everybody's going to be going well all at one time. So what you want is the top third here is going well, the middle third's okay, the bottom third's not. So they're covering each other. So there's been times where the top third wasn't going good, the middle 3 were going good, the bottom 3 were just okay, right? And so each kind of third of the lineup is covering the other. And you can really tell the Dodgers put their lineup together every day based on matchups to make sure that those types of situations are covered based on who's going good and who's going bad. So it makes for a really consistent – it makes for an offense that you're going, well, the Dodgers really haven't clicked on all cylinders, but you're going, well, yeah, that's because they're kind of setting it up, knowing who's going good, knowing who's not, to stay as consistent as they can. Did any of that make sense?
Makes total sense because, we even saw it last year, even into the playoffs, there were days, the bottom of the order was doing most of the damage. Let's face it, Yamamoto and Betts and Freeman, they're getting the best of the best of every pitcher.
Yes.
Those are the guys they're focusing on. There's a lot of guys you got to focus on with the Dodgers, especially now with the way Pages is going and Teo's been and Will Smith and the way Muncie's hitting. So the Dodgers don't have a lot of easy outs right now. Conforto even had a pretty good series here in Colorado. That's a good sign. Hopefully he'll come on. Good job, Coach Barrackoff, calling that one. So, we got a chance to see it, but that's the way it should work, Case. That's great. You look up there and go, well, hell, our top three went 0 for 13, but then you go down there, and like you said, that's the way that's supposed to work. That's what the great teams are able to do. I had a team one time years ago, I'll keep it short, had 3 outs. They're great kids, great defensive players. They were outs. They were all 3 hitting under 200. I spread them out. It didn't work. Put them all back to back to back. Well, that didn't work. There's never really a way to try to. I did all different kind of things in the lineup to try to hide them. And it's kind of like when you put the bad kid in right field. Ball don't lie. It always finds them. But but the offense is this offense, especially with what you got here. We saw it last year in key situations. A lot of times in the playoffs, the bottom of the order was doing big time work.
Mm-hmm.
Got some things done. But the way they're set up now, like you said, the way great offenses are. Somebody's always covering. Somebody's got to cover you. Hey, I'm not hitting for crap today, but Pages is 4 for 4 down there. Hey, that's pretty damn nice. Or Muncie's heating up. He's got 7 ribbies today. Top 3 didn't do a whole lot, but hell, Muncie's killing it. So. And he has been too. So that's a great sign for a manager. I know sitting down, building your lineup, I know Dave's got all the information in the world, the analytics, blah, blah, blah. This guy against this pitcher and the matchups and all that stuff. We know who the top 3 are going to be every freaking game, and basically the top 5 when you get right down to it. But the other guys, the way he pieces together down the bottom of the order, who's playing, that sort of thing. That's important. And it's been invaluable that the Dodgers have been able for those segments of 3, let's call it, top, middle, and bottom, have been able to overcome and to cover for each other. That's a sign for a great team, which the Dodgers have been. Let's face it, this is going on the 3rd year they've been the best team in baseball. We'll see how this one ends up. The first one didn't end up very good. They proved it for sure last year on the field. They're the best team in baseball still today, even despite everything they're going through. They're not their best. They're not their best version yet because of some things they're still missing, pieces are missing from injuries, but this is the 3rd year in a row they've done that, and they've had the main reason is what you just said, the way that the offense had the ability to cover up for each other.
Yeah, kind of some statistical evidence to back that point. So like on Wednesday, the top 3 was 1 for 11. You might say, well, damn, if Betts and Freeman and Ohtani aren't getting on, most other teams would say, well, let's call it a day. Good try, boys. We'll try it again tomorrow. Well, how about this? For the Dodgers, on that same day, the middle 3 went 5 for 12, and the bottom 3 went 3 for 11, which isn't great, but for a bottom 3, you'll take that every day, twice on Sundays. So if you look at Betts, Freeman, and Ohtani, then you look at the middle 3, then the bottom 3. Right now, it's the middle 3 that's carrying the offense for the most part. The top 3 are doing some things here and there, and the bottom is doing what they can. So the bottom half isn't killing you like you were talking about those 2 young men a minute ago. The bottom half isn't killing you. And then between the middle half and the top half, one of those 2 has to carry the offense. Lately, it's been the middle. So this has been a great show, Coach. I know it's a lot of statistical stuff today, but
it's over my head, man. It's analytics. The old man gets knocked. Anyway, it's not. This part is great. As I told you, the analytics part like this is great stuff.
Yeah, every once in a while, it's fun to kind of dive into some of this. I wouldn't want to do it every day, but there are occasions where you have a performance like Clayton Kershaw where you want to go, let's pull back the curtain and go, how in the hell is this guy actually getting people out throwing 88? You know, what actually is the magic between Yamamoto, between his great starts? So I kind of thought it was important to dive into some of that stuff and get a little bit geekier today, but I hope you enjoyed it, Coach, and final thoughts.
No, I love being a geek every now and then. It makes me feel young again, Case. Not just the old crusty guy sitting around with a chew in and bitching about everything. You know, today I get to sit there, feel a little bit smarter. You know, I kind of stand a little taller, puff my chest out because I'm on your and Austin Brewbakers and Coach Mark Watkins and Coach Bearcoff. I'm on y'all's level today. You know, I'm instead of just being the old crusty ball coach.
No, none of us are on Brewbaker's level. Brewbaker's on a level of his own. Come on, Coach.
On another level. He's Moneyball. Brewbaker could have been in Moneyball. He could have been the.
Well, he explains it where like I can understand it. You know, it's like it's amazing.
He explains it well. That's right. It's kind of like when I took college algebra. I finally found a guy who could explain it where my dumb ass could understand it, so I could pass it and go be a teacher. But anyway, no, it's great to get into stuff like this. Like I told you, that's coaching. I always love spray charts. That's probably what we had back in the old days from talking to people on the phone. But if I'd have had this crap right here, I'd have damn sure used it. You know, every bit of information you get. So it's a great show. I know you do a great job, Austin. All of our Dodger Dogs. It's great to have Mark Watkins on here with us. And Coach Bearcoff's always a stud, as we know in every sense of the word. So I love our Dodger Dogs. I love our Dodgers. Can't wait to walk into the Big K tonight watching our Dodger Blue. Go Dodgers.
Let's absolutely go. Hey, Coach, you know I love you. Thanks for joining.
Love you too, Case. Give it my best to your family. I'll talk to you soon.
Will do. So, hey, don't go away. We have a big Down on the Farm come. We have lots to talk about. Cameron Decker made his return back. Lots of great pitching up and down the system. Lots of great offense, too. Jiren Elkins continues to just absolutely stroke the baseball. So don't go away. You Dodgers Dogs fans are the best. You know that. So with that, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. Let's take a trip down on the farm. Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. So glad you decided to stick around for the prospect talk. And there was a lot of great prospect action last night in the system, no doubt about that. You talk about a young man with great tools. You were looking at Jiren Elkins, a 20-year-old who has stolen 1 million bases. As a matter of fact, I think he has 16 stolen bases. And I don't think he does. He has 16 stolen bases just this month of June. He leads the California League in stolen bases. Him and Eduardo Quintero are neck and neck. So Quintero may have actually taken over first place, so don't exactly quote me on that, but they're both right up there in stolen bases. So how about this? 4 multi-hit games in his last 6. Very simple swing. You see him just stay right in the middle of his body, trust his hands, and just doesn't need any excess movement, extra movements. Just use the strength of the core in your body to let the barrel and the hands rotate around the strongest part of your body, which is your core, no doubt. So 4 multi-hit games in his last 6 for Jiren Elkins. He's 10 for his last 25. Elkins is hitting .329 this month. So what's happening is you're taking a young man who's just 20 years old, and what he's doing is he's using all of those incredible. I mean, he has as many tools as you could possibly want out of a player, and he's taking those tools and he's turning it into production on the field. It's called blossoming, and you're seeing that from Jiren Elkins right in front of your eyes. And speaking of a young man that blossomed last year, Cameron Decker really remember he had the 10 RBI game last year for the Quakes, and that was the day that Kendall George had, I believe, 6 hits, and it was kind of one of those competitions back and forth between those two. I got to talk to both of them about it, interviews in the offseason, if you want to check those out. But Cameron Decker coming into this season, he started in Great Lakes, and then in April had a really unfortunate situation. He broke his hamate, tried to play with it, eventually had to have surgery, and he came back here in the beginning of June, played 11 games at the complex, and now he is back. Last night was his first game back. You can see that big smile. That's because it's his first game back in affiliated ball with the Quakes, and he ripped a double. And this is a young man who's played a lot of shortstop. He plays third base. He can play left field. Light tower power. He loves using the right center field. He loves just using the middle of the field. Cameron Decker has a world of ability. Got set back again a little bit with that hamate injury and the broken bone there. If you've ever had a hamate or been around anybody who's had a hamate situation, they just don't go away. So it's better off just to get it covered, get it taken care of, lay the time off like Cameron Decker did, and then just come back whenever you can. You talk about a young man. Look at that changeup. Unbelievable. Nicholas Cruz doesn't throw it a million miles an hour, but he uses his changeup. He uses location. He uses changing speeds to hit the top of the zone and then use that top of the zone to tumble his changeup with. And then he carries the bottom of the zone very well. Nicholas Cruz has been absolutely on fire. Last night, another 2 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Cruz also got the win to go to 3-2 on the year. ERA is just 2.65. He had 1 outing at the beginning of June where he gave up 4 runs. That was clearly an outlier because for all of his other outings, he has given up just 6 runs in 35 innings. So beyond the 1 outlier, he has a 1.54 ERA. You talk about a young man that has been absolutely money. That has been 100%. That has been Nicholas Cruz, no doubt about that. So it was an exciting 8-5 win last night for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Wasn't a whole ton to talk about last night with the High A Great Lakes Loons. Really, this was kind of the highlight. Zire Hope had 2 hits for Great Lakes. He moved his average up to 289, OPS 856. So kind of the every hitter, no hitter is ever going to get away from hitting a patch now and then. There's going to be ups and downs for every hitter. Now, the question is, how down is your down? It's called setting a floor. So to this point, the floor for Zire Hope had been very high. And then, we see all these guys like a James Outman, like a Damon Keith, and guys like that have very high ceilings. Jose Ramos is that type of guy where when they're going good, I mean, they're one of the best players in whatever league they're in, whenever they're in that high patch. But the problem is their low patches are way too low. Their floors are too low. So one thing I've really liked about Zire Hope is that he set a very high floor. And so I say that to say, to begin June, he went on a actually not to begin June, but coming into last night, he was on a 2 for 22 patch, which, hey, 22 at bats in a professional season, that's a blink of an eye, right? And so no big deal whatsoever. But it is curious to see, okay, well, this is the first really kind of low floor patch that he's had. How's he going to respond to that? And that's a big deal. Dalton Rushing had that deal where he went 0 for 36 in his first full year as a pro coming off the injury. And so you want to know, how does a prospect do, especially a big prospect like Zire Hope? Overall, how explosive are they? But you really want to find out in the minor league process, how do they handle the low spots? How can they create the highest floor that they possibly can by mentally overcoming the low patches? So it was good to see last night. I say all that to say the 2 hits for Zire Hope was great to see. And here's to kind of go to the floor that he set. 286 in April, 318 in May, and then he started June going 13 for 40. So it's good to see him bounce back from the 2 for 22 patch that he had been in. Again, I don't say that to say there's any concern to him going to that patch, because, again, every hitter is going to do that. I actually say that as a compliment to say here he comes back up again, responding to that situation, not worried about it whatsoever, and coming back to being the Zire Hope that he is, which is just simply an amazing player. Now moving up to the AA level, this is Noah Miller. Had a chance to release our interview with him just yesterday. Go ahead and check that out here on our YouTube channel on Dodgers Daily. What a wonderful young man. I didn't realize he's as big as he is. I didn't realize his movements were as fluid as they are. I didn't realize the upside. I knew he had a fairly high floor because he is great defensively. He was going to be around probably a league average type player. Offensively, kind of the Tommy Edman situation. But just watching him in person, I had no clue just actually how much, ceiling ability that Noah Miller has. I was really, really just kind of blown away with, wow, this guy really has a much higher ceiling than you would think just watching him on video to this point. Of course, he hurt the knee in the offseason, had to deal with that, just got back a couple of weeks ago. And see right there, I mean, that's a quick bat. That's a bat that can play right there. Kind of a Brandon Crawford type player, that long hair, that curly hair, great defender, offensive game that is certainly growing and has a high potential. So just a 12.6 K rate. That's awesome. Needs to walk more. His walk percentage is only around 8%. I think if he can move that walk percentage up to around 11 or 12%, which is close to what his K rate is right now, that WRC plus that's sitting at 102 would spike to like 120. And so he's been a little bit above league average offensively. Noah Miller has this year. We know he had the Gold Glove a couple of years ago as far as playing shortstop. The glove is going to play. The glove is big league right now. It's all a matter of how the offense is going to come along, maybe a little bit of power. So the WRC Plus, great to see he's 2% above league average in terms of advanced analytics. And again, I think if he could get that walk rate from like 8 to 12%, maybe keep the strikeout rate where it's at, that WRC Plus becomes about 120. And now you're talking about a 20% better than league average player with an elite glove at shortstop. At that point, you really have a top tier. I mean, he's already a very good prospect, but you have he becomes in at that point, in my opinion, one of the best prospects in all of minor league baseball. And that's all part of the process, trying to figure out how to find what it's called is finding the best version of yourself, of which Noah Miller is in the process of doing that right now. No doubt about that. Another young man that is finding the best version of himself right now is who caught last night, Jiren Fernandez. He is on fire. How about Janer? He gets hot this time of year every year. It's like the end of June. It's like clockwork. Jiren Fernandez is going to get hot. He's probably going to have one bad month for the time being between July, August, and September. 1 month that's probably not going to be perfect, but the rest of the time after he gets hot in late June, he's going to pretty much stay hot, no doubt about that. So last night he had 3 hits for AA Tulsa, 4 multi-hit games in a row for Jiren Fernandez. He's 9 for his last 19, so getting comfortable like he does each and every year this time of year. Talking about Jiren Fernandez, a young man who is very talented. Got a chance to talk to him the other day. He is super cool dude. Absolutely super cool dude. No doubt about that. So moving to the pitching side for the AA Tulsa Drillers, I wanted to talk about Jamine Rosario. Jamine Rosario, and we've talked about how he moved to the bullpen. I really like that move. I just think that slider and that fastball are going to play up. It's been an adventure for Jamine Rosario. He's always been that guy I've talked about every time I cover him on the show. Lots of ups and downs, hoping the bullpen deal will highlight the ups and eliminate the downs. That has not happened yet. I'm not going to sugarcoat you. It's been an adventure. It's been an outing like last night, which was awesome, and then 2 or 3 outings that are anything but awesome. So still have a lot of ups and downs going even in the bullpen role that Jamine Rosario was put in a couple of weeks ago, which I think is going to be just fantastic for him. So a lot of room to grow in the consistency element, but a lot of high-end stuff for Jamine Rosario. And you talk about high-end stuff. Wow. This is Jason Cabrera. I mean, damn, again. This dude struck out the side in his 1 inning last night and has completely dominated the AA Texas League, the league that the Drillers are in. Last night was Cabrera's 5th outing in a row and 10th of his last 11 where he went scoreless. He has reached 100 miles an hour. Jason Cabrera's ERA is down to 113. His whip is 108. His average against is 136, and he has 27 strikeouts in 24 innings. Last night, he was 97-98. And the bottom of the zone, he has that slider too that's dirty. But I think the most impressive thing, at least something else to look at, is the way he carried the fastball at the bottom of the zone. That really tells you his spin rate has to be pretty up there whenever you see a pitcher carry the bottom of the zone. So, hey, this is a guy, no doubt about it, that Dodgers fans 100% need to have their eyes on, they need to pay attention to, and they need to know who Jason Cabrera is, because he is really dominating again as he moves along and throwing hard and throwing to specific locations. The whip is good, all that kind of stuff. So really good to see Jason Cabrera really flying under the radar. Not here at Dodgers Daily, hopefully not with you now, because he is really, really good. So moving up to the AA level, wanted to cover Kendall Simmons, who hit a grand slam last night, hitting 270 OPS, 816 hits in 3 games in a row. This is a young man that the Dodgers picked up in the offseason out of Philadelphia, so that was a lot of fun. And getting him, he actually became a free agent after 6 years. He spent all 6 years in the Philadelphia organization. Played with Carson Taylor. You remember Carson Taylor, very talented catcher for the for the he made it as high as Double-A Tulsa there. So he knows Carson very well. Hit a grand slam last night. It was awesome. Blew a big old bubble right before he hit the grand slam. Nothing better than baseball and bubble gum, no doubt about that, in terms of just watching baseball and doing that kind of thing. Very talented young man. He's played a lot of shortstop in his day. Great athlete, big dude. I mean, he's really put together. Played third base last night, has played some first base, and is just a really talented young man. So keep your eyes out for Kendall Simmons. Again, another young man the Dodgers got in their system last year.